Once upon a time in a small village there lived an old lady. Her hair was silver, her face soft with gentle wrinkles, and her eyes were bright with kindness. People loved her because she stayed calm and generous even when life was hard. She sat under the banyan tree every day ready to listen. She never pretended pain didn't exist. She simply believed that hopeful thoughts could help people find their next step. One afternoon, a young mother named Radha came to her, tears clinging to her cheeks. "Amma," she whispered, "my husband went to the city to look for work. It has been weeks. No money has come. My children are hungry. I am scared." The old lady nodded. "You are carrying a heavy worry. Tell me, my child, what do you think will happen?" Radha stared at the ground. "I think everything will get worse. What if he still can't find work? What if he forgets us?" The old lady spoke softly. "It is natural to fear, but if we only feed our fear, we become too weak to act. There is another way, hopeful thinking, not pretending, not magic. Hopeful thinking is choosing the most truthful, helpful thought in a difficult moment so your hands and heart can do the next thing." Radha frowned. "How can I think good thoughts when everything feels bad?" The old lady smiled. "Let me tell you a story and then I will give you a practice." She leaned closer. "Positive thinking is not everything is perfect. It is I see the problem and I also see my options. Psychologists call this reframing or cognitive reappraisal, looking at the same situation from a more helpful angle. Research shows that focusing on what you can control, small steps, one by one, reduces stress and helps you take action. Gratitude is part of this too. When we notice the good that still exists, a kind neighbor, a safe home, a skill we can use, it strengthens us. Hope is built from a goal, a path, and the belief you can take the next step. We cannot change the rain, but we can change the way we carry ourselves beneath it. "Once," she began, "there was a poor man sitting by a river crying. He had no money, no family near, and no work. An old woman found him and asked, 'What do you see?' The man said, 'I see nothing but my misery.' She pointed around, 'Look again. The river flows. The trees give shade and fruit. The sun rises each day. Your hands can still work. Your feet can still walk. Your mind can still choose.' She asked him to do 3 small things each morning. 1. Name 3 blessings he still had. 2. Choose 3 actions within his reach. 3. Ask one person for help." The man looked at the river and said, "I have water to drink and wash." He looked at his hands, "I can carry, I can build." He looked at the trees, "I can gather fruit to sell." He chose 3 actions: collect mangoes, help the fishermen mend nets for a small wage, and ask the shopkeeper if he could sweep the floor in exchange for rice. He did not deny his difficulties. He simply focused on what he could do. Slowly his days began to change, not because of magic, but because his thinking gave strength to his actions. But the old lady turned back to Radha. "Let us try the same practice today." She took Radha's hand. "First, 3 blessings." Radha thought, "My children are healthy. My neighbors share water. I still have the strength to work." "Good," the old lady said. "Now, 3 actions within your reach." Radha nodded. "I will write a clear letter to my husband and ask for help from his supervisor with sending money. I will check if there is work in the fields or at the market today. I will ask our neighbor if I can borrow a little rice and repay it with extra work. And one person to ask for help, the village head or the women's group. If they know, perhaps they can connect me to a small job or a food program." The old lady smiled. This is hopeful thinking, true, useful, and tied to action. Research in many communities shows that when people focus on specific, doable steps and lean on social support, outcomes improve. Positive emotions don't erase problems, but they widen our view so we notice options we missed. Each morning, the old lady continued, say, "Today I will do 3 small things I can control." You may also add, "I can breathe, I can think, I can act." Studies suggest that short, realistic affirmations work best when they align with your values and lead to clear actions. If anxiety rises, pause and take slow breaths. This calms the body and helps the mind choose a better thought. Radha left with a lighter heart, not because the world had changed, but because she had a plan. She wrote the letter. She visited the market and offered to sweep stalls and carry baskets. She helped in a nearby field and accepted a little rice from her neighbor, promising to repay with extra chores. Every morning she repeated 3 blessings, 3 actions, 1 ask. She did not hide her hardship. She met it with hope. Weeks later, a letter came. Her husband had found steady work at a construction site and had learned how to send money properly. "I have not forgotten you," he wrote. "I will send what I can each month." Radha cried, but this time her tears tasted of relief. She ran to the banyan tree. The old lady read the letter and pressed Radha's hand. "You see, my dear, hope did not bring money by itself. Your thinking helped you act. Your action sustained your household, and your faith kept you moving until the letter arrived." The old lady looked around at the listening villagers. "Let me speak a balanced truth. Positive thinking is not pretending trouble isn't there. It is choosing thoughts that help, not hurt. It is gratitude for what still exists, clarity about what must be done, and courage to ask for help. It does not replace hard work, community support, or fair wages. It stands beside them. Some days, despite our best efforts, results come slowly. On those days, your practice is this: breathe, bless, act, and ask." Word spread through the village. People gathered under the banyan tree to share worries and plans. The old lady repeated the same wisdom with love: 3 blessings, 3 actions, 1 ask. Many found that their fear quieted enough to work. Their hands grew steadier and they noticed opportunities. Extra hours here, a neighbor's lead there, a small kindness that bridged a hard day. The village did not become perfect, but it became more connected, more hopeful, and more ready to face storms together. If you are listening today with heavy thoughts, take this gentle guidance. Name 3 blessings you still have: health in some measure, someone who cares, skills you can use, a safe corner to rest, or even the sunrise. Choose 3 actions within your reach. Send a message, update a resume, ask a mentor, tidy a space, cook a simple meal, make a list, or apply for 1 opportunity. Ask 1 person for help: family, friend, community group, mentor, or local service. We heal faster in company than alone. Repeat a realistic affirmation. Today, I will do 3 small things I can control. Research in psychology and public health consistently finds that gratitude can improve well-being, hope strengthens goal pursuit, and focused small steps reduce stress. This is not a promise that life will be easy. It is a path to walk when life is hard. The old lady looked at Radha and at all who had gathered. "My dear ones," she said, "your problems may not vanish today, but your mind can become a kinder place right now. Choose thoughts that help you act. Practice gratitude to steady your heart. Ask for help when your strength is low. Build hope, goal, path, next step, and take the next step you can take." Soon there were fewer tears under the banyan tree. Not because sorrow never came, but because the people had learned how to carry it, with hopeful thoughts, practical steps, and hands joined together. Positive thinking, when truthful and practical, does not deny hardship. It lights the way through it. Begin with 3 blessings, 3 actions, and 1 ask, and let hope guide your next step. If this story helped you, subscribe for more gentle wisdom and true stories that strengthen the heart. Radha's children soon noticed the change. Their mother still hurried and still sighed, but her eyes no longer carried the dull look of defeat. She sang while washing clothes at the well softly, so the neighbor's goats would not complain. When the littlest boy asked why she smiled while scrubbing, she answered, "Because my hands are working for you, and that is a blessing." He did not understand every word, yet he felt the difference the way a plant feels morning light. Seasons shifted. The monsoon arrived early, drumming on tin roofs and turning lanes to mud. Radha's roof leaked in 3 places. Instead of despairing, she placed pots beneath the drips, then walked to the carpenter's house. "I can weave palm fronds for 2 hours each afternoon," she offered. "Pay me in tiles or in coins, whichever is easier." The carpenter, impressed by her steady voice, agreed. Within a week, she had enough tiles to patch the worst leak. The remaining pots stayed on the floor, catching water that she later used to rinse vegetables. Nothing was wasted, not even worry. One evening, the village head announced a government skills program. 10 women would be taught to sew school uniforms, earning piece rate wages. Radha's name was suggested by the women's group she had approached months earlier. She hesitated. She had never touched a sewing machine. Then she remembered the riverman who had gathered mangoes with unfamiliar hands. She enrolled. On the first day, her stitches zigzagged like drunken ants. On the 7th day, they marched in straight, confident lines. By the 10th day, she carried home her first earnings, enough for a kilo of rice, a bar of soap, and 2 pencils for her eldest daughter. That night, she wrote to her husband again, enclosing a tiny square of cloth. "This is my first seam," she told him. "It is not perfect, but it is mine, and it is straight." Across the village, others practiced the same rhythm. A widower who had sat idle named 3 blessings, a healthy ox, a plot of land, and the memory of his wife's dal recipe. He chose 3 actions: plow 1 row each dawn, trade a sack of lentils for seedlings, and ask the cooperative for advice on drip irrigation. A year later, he harvested enough tomatoes to send his daughter to the nearby town high school. A teenager mourning his failed board exams listed blessings: eyes that could read, legs that could cycle, and a library that opened at 8. He asked the librarian for help finding night class forms, borrowed last year's textbooks, and rode to the tuition center 3 evenings a week. The next summer he passed, not with flying colors but with solid ground beneath him. The old lady watched these ripples with quiet joy. She never claimed credit. She simply reminded every visitor that the banyan tree had shaded the village for 200 years, long before her birth, and would remain long after. "The tree does not grow by wishing," she said. "It grows by reaching slowly toward whatever light it can find." One stormy afternoon, a stranger arrived, a young man from the city whose startup had collapsed. He wore polished shoes now caked with mud, and his confidence looked like a cracked mirror. He sat beneath the tree, head in hands. The old lady offered him water. Between sips he confessed, "I lost everything. Investors left. My team scattered. I am empty." She listened, then asked him the 3 questions. He faltered on the first. Blessings felt impossible, so she guided him. "You have breath, you have speech, you have the road that brought you here." Slowly he continued, a sister who still believed in him, a laptop in his backpack, the ability to code. His 3 actions emerged: update his portfolio that very night, email 3 former classmates about freelance gigs, and walk to the district tech hub the next morning to attend the free networking breakfast. His one ask: could he stay in the village community hall for 2 weeks while he regrouped? The answer was yes. 6 months later, he returned with a small contract to build a bookkeeping app for the farmers' cooperative. The day he handed the old lady a simple thank you card drawn on recycled paper, she smiled and placed it at the base of the banyan tree, where wind and rain would soften it into mulch, feeding the roots of future shade. Years passed. Radha's sewing grew into a cooperative of 12 women. They bought second-hand machines with a microloan and stitched uniforms for 3 schools. Radha's husband saved enough to buy a tiny plot in the city. On weekends, he returned carrying sweets and stories of cranes and concrete. Their daughter, the one who had watched her mother sing while scrubbing, became the first in the family to attend college, an agricultural diploma, because she wanted to teach farmers how to grow more with less water. She kept a notebook titled 3 Blessings, 3 Actions, 1 Ask, and beneath each entry she drew tiny banyan leaves, green and spreading. Eventually the old lady's steps grew slower. One dusk she called Radha and a few others to her porch. "Remember," she said, her voice a soft flute, "hopeful thinking is not the whole house. It is the lamp that lets you see the next brick. Place that brick. Then light the lamp again." She closed her eyes that night beneath a sky washed with monsoon stars, and in the morning she did not wake. The village grieved as one body, yet no one felt abandoned, because her words had become their own quiet heartbeat. They buried her near the banyan tree. Children now play there, tracing letters on her simple stone. "She helped us see the light we carry." During festivals, villagers place fresh flowers and whisper updates. The cooperative bought a new delivery bicycle. The tomato farmer's daughter became a nurse. The city coder mentors local school kids online. Each speaker ends with the same soft refrain: 3 blessings, 3 actions, 1 ask. And so the story travels, carried by aunties on buses, by truck drivers at highway dabbas, by teachers who print the practice on yellow paper and paste it above cracked chalkboards. It crosses languages and borders, adapting yet unbroken. Notice what is still good. Do what you can do today. Reach for help without shame. The world remains uneven. Hardship still arrives uninvited. But wherever someone pauses to name 3 blessings, 3 actions, and 1 ask, a small lamp is lit. Its glow is steady, ordinary, and enough to show the next step